Look, I'm just going to come right out and say it. I find compliance intimidating. The reason I find compliance intimidating is the same reason that I get anxious filling out forms, because I really struggle with minute details. I'm a big picture guy. I'm a visionary, and that's my excuse I give when I don't want to do the granular little, you know, anal details. I hate that kind of stuff. But today's guest, Tim Golden, you know him well. He's been around for a really long time, but Tim has this very, very authentic and very inviting way of talking about GRC. He makes it less intimidating. He makes it less mysterious, and he has these amazing frameworks that can not only help us understand and feel more confident in delivering governance, risk, and compliance, but also in how to monetize it, how to bake it into our agreement, and how to use the conversation of compliance as that fulcrum to switch from the button pusher, as he calls it, over to the trusted advisor. It's a really good one. Let's do it. Tim, we finally got you on the calendar. We finally got you on the recording. Thanks for joining me today.
Hey, yeah, calendars. Oh my goodness. Welcome to startup life. You know what that's all about, don't you?
I know. And when you try to smash two of our calendars together, it just becomes a nightmare. We've done things together, but I don't think I've ever interviewed you. I feel like you've interviewed me, or at least pseudo interviewed me when we're doing those Fort Mesa things.
Yeah.
And I've been on your
Team
stream
Tim.
a couple of, Tim and Tim was right.
Yeah. We've now migrated that to MSPthoughtleadership.com and do it twice a month now. Live stream. Come beat us up.
I'm so jealous that you thought to get that domain. Well done.
Well, it was a real play on, influencer, thought leadership, like all of those kinds of things. And I was like, I wonder if that's available. And when I first got it, it was more of tongue in cheek kind of thing, because everybody's a thought leader, everybody's an influencer. And I personally hated the whole concept of thought leader, but then it kind of took on a life of its own. As you said, Tim Schnur, myself, and Jesse Miller got together every single week and built out Team Tim Live. And then that just kind of evolved into, the whole idea of just trying to help educate the MSP community and give them some thought leadership stuff.
Right. It's funny, though, that you scoff at the word, which doesn't surprise me that you scoff at the term thought leader, because you're like a beloved curmudgeon in that way. But what's super funny about it is you are a thought leader. I mean, you are one of the voices of compliance in the channel. I mean, I don't mean to make you have to double click that, but isn't it fair to say that at least many people come to you for guidance on compliance?
Yeah, that is true. And thank you for that. It's always been my life goal to help teach the next generation of MSPs around risk and compliance and all those buzzwords. The reality is so I don't have to do it again. Right. Teach the next generation of MSPs so I don't have to do it again.
That should be like your LinkedIn bio. Let me teach you so that I can quit doing it and somebody else could carry this, so you're not Sisyphus pushing the stone up the hill again. We should tell the people a little bit about who you are, anybody who's not been following you. Can you give us a little bit of a background of your history in the channel and kind of, your IT background, if you will, at least wave tops up to what you're doing now at Compliance Scorecard?
Yeah. So, 13 years in the military as a mechanic and combat engineer, which meant I get to blow shit up and then fix it after the fact. So I was always in this whole tinkering mode, right? Ripping stuff apart and putting it back together. And, fast forward, I started working and developing and writing code. Really, that's how my brain works. Tab A, slot B, move on, black, white, no gray. So compliance just was a natural fit, right? It's actually been a little bit of a detriment too in that whole black and white, yes or no, no gray in the middle. And so there's a little bit of a detriment that I'm kind of been personally working through over the last several years. But yeah, been writing code, building things, ripping computers, building infrastructure, doing all the IT stuff. And, worked at a company where we were fully funded by the government. And in 2006, recompete, do the thing, win a contract, yada, yada, yada. And there was one sentence. You will follow NIST, National Institute of Standards and Technologies. You will follow NIST 853, which if you fast forward now is essentially FedRAMP. And back in 06, like the department heads I was working with, the program officer, even the CISOs there, like had no idea what the hell that was. I mean, NIST was just in its infancy. And so, we had to grow alongside that over the several years. And doing that work and getting audited by the big firms, the Deloittes, and getting audited and having to do that work day in and day out, year after year. I mean, if anybody knows me, if it has rows and columns, it's going into a database and I'm building a web front end, which is what I did in 2007 with NIST 853. I essentially built a GRC that wasn't even a thing to manage my stuff. Fast forward, CMMC, working in the community and knowing what's coming, i.e. CMMC and other stuff down the road. People bought tools and had no idea. And I was like, here, let me help you. Let me teach the next generation. And so that led to basically giving away 2 days a week for free, not sustainable business model. So I built a peer group. And that peer group has been going since 2017. We don't talk about the platform, but we do talk about risk and frameworks. And, I just did this whole master class on what is compliance as a service? How do we package it, sell it, and deliver it in January? And so my goal had always been, like I said, teach the next generation, take the 20 plus years I've sledged through this compliance stuff and build a platform, take what I wrote for myself, because everybody was like, I want it, give it to me. I'm like, no, it runs on my laptop. And so, and then my good friend, Alex Farling and Wes Spencer and Kyle Christensen, all of our good friends at Empath. Alex flat out told me, because I was a Lifecycle Insights user doing assessments as an MSP. And Alex was like, no, Tim, I am not building that. You go build it. Okay. So, in consultation with Wes and Kyle and other people in the industry of like, how did we go from MSP to vendor? And this is the progression. Build a platform, offer great services, affordable, all of those fun things. And yeah. So we progressed from the peer group to teaching to now providing a platform and the teaching that goes with it.
What I like about how binary your brain is that you went to like the hairiest, least sexy, and most existential problem facing the channel, which is compliance. I think of the last 5 years, and now we kind of have AI, but AI is the sexy thing that everybody wants to deal with, which is going to continue to create more and more compliance problems.
Oh, yeah.
I even said this to you the other day, and I've said this on a podcast. I think the MSP of the future will be a VCSO or will be not at all.
Yeah.
And you have been instrumental, if you don't mind my saying, in a lot of MSPs making that transition from, what is it? You said this to me the other day, button pusher to some, you had this phrase.
Yeah.
You remember what I'm talking about?
Absolutely. So first, let's level set. Jesse Miller, if you're listening, it's a fractional CISO, not a VCSO, damn it. Jesse and I battle this word all the time. And it's not just Jesse, like a bunch of people use the VCISO. Well, you're remote, so by proxy, you are virtual. So it's like Department of Redundancy department. So let's call it what it is. It's fractional. You're not a full-time employee. You're providing fractional information and work and facilitation of that risk for your customer. So label it whatever you want. The community has adopted VCSO. Again, my black and white brain, fine. I guess I'll just say VCSO, right. Even though I'm thinking fractional. Now, What does that mean as an MSP? How do I actually operationalize that? Well, MSPs fall into two buckets. geeks like me that click buttons that, go into Microsoft and configure conditional access and go down a rabbit hole of clickety clackety clickety blinky lights. An implementer, right? We are implementers by trade. But the shift is that fractional CISO, is that trusted advisor, is that facilitator. And that's where we see this industry starting to move, is moving into the facilitation role of, hey, we're super smart and we found a bunch of things. But Brian, it's really your choice to fix it or not. We're going to explain them to you and help facilitate that work. But that risk, it's the customer's risk. And right now, MSPs own it all. And until they start to build out some kind of facilitation program, present that to their customer and allow their customers to make decisions, they're going to continue to own that risk.
Yeah.
And by the way, we shouldn't just be, as IT professionals, clicky buttons, running down the road and installing and configuring and doing a thing because we found a gap. What if we turn a thing on or roll out a thing that we don't get paid for and it pisses the customer off? Right? You need to invite them into making those risk decisions. And as that facilitator, that's where I see the industry starting to go. I liken it into one phrase. Just imagine, as an MSP, instead of being the person that the customer calls and says, my printer's broke, fix it. You're now imagining yourself with, hey, Tim, I'm thinking about buying a printer. What should I do? Do you understand the difference in that? Go fix it versus help me figure out what I should do. And that's where I'm excited to see the industry moving towards, by the way.
Right.
So facilitator versus implementer.
Yeah, that phrase is what we're going to spend, I think, the rest of this interview on for a bunch of reasons. We're not the first people to talk about this shift, this impending shift. And just to kind of contextualize for anybody who's not on board with what we're talking about, managed services is not going to go away, but it's definitely not going to stay the same.
Correct.
Because technology is a exponential curve. It's not cyclical. It's not flat. We'll never go back, right? Like I liken back, I use him as an example all the time, but when I started selling VoIP, one of our reef sellers was a guy, he made most of his money with a government contract of maintaining phone booths. And then he got a government contract removing phone booths. And then he got a government contract installing on-prem those like digital PBXs.
Yeah.
And then it was the
Avaya or whatever.
Yeah, and then it was the IP PBX, and now all of a sudden we have hosted PBX.
Yep.
And so he just explained, all I do is sell and maintain phones. It's just that the way we do it has changed. The technology has changed so dramatically. But he's like, I've been working in phones since the 80s, And that's the MSP, of course, is going to maintain. But as we see, what have really been tent poles of the MSP offering are like help desk was the tent pole in my mind in the 20 teens.
Yep.
Help desk was like $45 or to $65 of your $125 per seat price you charged back then.
Yep.
And now, due to increased technical literacy of the average user, increased quality of the average technology, like ease of use baked into the tech itself, as well as instantaneous access to limitless expertise. That I can just talk to my computer and say, hey, what do I do with my mouse makes this light, makes this noise?
Yeah.
Help desk is not really a service anymore. We still do it, but it's certainly not worth 30 to 50% of our price. That's fair.
Right. Fair. Absolutely. And so, you're touching on some very, deep hot points in the industry and the shift that's starting to happen. IT, MSPs, ITSP, whatever acronym you want to give them, we'll just call them MSPs. We operationalize well, right? We ticketing and help desk and all that stuff, right? We be able to see reoccurring things and then create white papers and like how-tos on like, don't bug me for a password reset, read the doc. But now with LLMs and all the things that are available, I mean, crap, I can yell at my Siri and tell it to go fix a thing and it will tell me exactly what to do. You know, some of those things are just so mainstream, right? Like the toaster or the microwave. These things just become norms in the space. So what then does an MSP do to differentiate themselves, right? You can't be charging 40, 50, 80% of your monthly fee to help desk. Because chances are, when I left our MSP, and even the 3 to 5 years before that, we averaged like 3 tickets a week. Like our ticket count was gone. And it was maybe an obscure thing. It wasn't like password resets. It wasn't like stupid stuff. And so I already started to see that in center enterprise IT where ticket counts just disappeared. Why? Because we operationalized and standardized and documented the things.
Right.
And so, what does the next generation of MSPs look like? Those that really hone in on the business risk, that talk about impact, that talk about, as we always say, protecting risk, revenue, and reputation, the 3 R's, and sometimes the 4th R, regrets. But
that's good.
You said help desk. Yeah, I think parts of level 1 will just go away. Not that it'll go away entirely, but it's certainly not 40, 50, 60% of your business anymore.
Right. And this should not, by the way, if this sounds like a threat to your business to you, then that's actually probably a good sign that it's time for you to have a mountaintop strategy session and ask yourself, is my plan to carry this business into the future? Then how am I going to adapt my business to be valuable in the future? And that's just the reality, right? It's it was the same thing. Everybody was threatened in some ways by Microsoft 365. Like, we were selling Exchange servers not that long ago, and you could make a lot of money selling somebody's server and stick it in a closet. And all of a sudden, why would you ever, almost never, you should buy a physical server anymore? Like, there are situations where you should, but the average SMB, 20 user business, should never buy a server. But that was like a huge project profit center for the MSP of 2015, 2020.
Yeah, I remember this one client, again, government contractor, and the requirement always had to have on-prem and the things. And so, and VM wasn't quite where it should have been, but as Hyper-V and VM and then cloud services got better and better, I mean, we migrated 65 servers to 2 with the SAN in the middle, active passive failover, all virtualized, and the SAN for and then moved everything, especially Exchange and email and all of that stuff to the cloud. The cloud adoption thing is just, it's commonplace now.
Right, exactly. Now it's normal. Applications are normal. And that's a whole other can of worms we could get into. The truth is that cloud is not actually as secure as people think it is.
It's not.
But in cloud applications,
by the way.
No, it's just somewhere else. But I want to keep talking about, so fractional CISO, vCISO, whatever. We're saying vCISO is a placeholder for the thing. Everybody knows what we're talking about.
Right.
I've talked to Jesse about this. Actually, I don't know if I've had him on the pod, but we should. I've probably name dropped him 10 times in this, for God's sakes. You're welcome, Jesse, in my podcast, because he's great at what he does. But here's one of the things I run into in my conversations, Tim, is everybody likes the concept of pivoting to strategic advisor, but then they go, what does that mean? I can't get anybody to come to a QBR. I have no respect in the boardroom. They don't listen to what I say. I can do this and I can make myself available, but they won't even meet with me. And they still see me as a pocket protector dork that they used to, atomic wedgie on the playground. Yeah. And so I still don't have a seat at the table. So even if they've made concerted efforts, they haven't done so successfully. So what are your thoughts on that? Like, how do we climb up the table?
Yeah, it's a great question. I know Wes and myself batted this around, and actually, Alec, a bunch of people have batted this around. So first and foremost, drop the acronyms, the tech speak, and the geek talk, right?
Okay.
They don't care about, conditional access and vulnerability. They don't care about the words that we use as tech people, right? What they care about is, in a sense, protecting their business. If they do care about protecting their business, what they do care about is making money, right? Keeping their staff employed, right? And so when you can shift that conversation, one of the favorite things I love to be able to ask as an MSP was not what keeps you up at night, but what gets you out of bed in the morning? What motivates you to sell the widget you sell, to build the company you have, to do the thing that you do? And that shift does two things. Number one, it puts it in a positive manner. No more FUD. It's no more what scares you and keeps you up. It puts it in that positive light psychologically. Mm-hmm. So you're already starting off with your customer of like, why do you do the thing you do? Tell me about your business and what, like, did your grandfather start this? Tell me about your grandfather, right? Starting there, getting that conversation going. And it's not hard. You say you can't get a seat, they won't meet with me. Tell you what, if you're close to them, set up an appointment, drop by with lunch, bring them donuts. Everybody loves something to chew on. Drop off some swag, pop on in unannounced and schedule a meeting. Mm-hmm. Go to them, right? In the virtual world, we all want to Zoom, we're all busy, blah, 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 blah. But there's something to be said to walking into an office, reasonable. I know people have customers all over the world, but there's something to be said to walk into an office, sit down with the leadership and be like, why do you do the thing you do? Yeah. Because what you're going to uncover is A, positive note, B, they're going to start talking about their business. They're going to start talking about why they do this. Mm-hmm. And then as you uncover that why, that's what you protect. Oh my God, my grandfather started this in World War II. He was the only guy in the world that could make this lug nut for the planes that would bomb, whatever, Russia, whatever. And so, I want to keep that legacy going. That's amazing. So you probably have suppliers, right? And by the way, you probably sell to defense, right? Have you ever heard of this thing called CMMC? As you start to uncover these conversations and ask the why do you do what you do, you'll be able to start to pinpoint in the back of your technology implementer brain, I could roll out this, I could roll out that, I could roll out this, I could do that, I could do. Don't talk about that stuff until you get the go-ahead, but you can start to uncover. I'll give you a really great example, if you'd like me to.
I would love
it.
So
we had a client. They had like 9 office locations. They had these multi-function printer, copier, scanner things. And some offices had 2, some offices had 3, some offices. So basically we had like 15 multi-copier things around the country. All of them on different contracts, all of them different models, all of them doing different things. And I sat with the CEO and I was like, how much do you guys really print? Like, I know you spend a lot of time like in meetings and like, I understand your business, but do you print a lot? I mean, he didn't know the answer. So I sat with each of the office directors for 30 minutes, give me your contract, give me what you have. Let's look at it. Let's do a quick little survey. Do you print? Do you not? Do you color? Do you not? All the thing. And printers, in my opinion, are the worst to deal with. Drivers, the whole 9 yards. At the end of that, I saved them by standardizing every office with the same model, co-terming every office with the same co-terming. Now, everybody knew, like Sally in Denver could call Bob in Florida and be like, how do I do this? Mm-hmm. They're the same. So we standardized it all. And at the end, I saved them $100,000 a year for 5 years. That's $500,000 I saved them. Mm-hmm. Only because I asked the question, why do you guys have so many printers?
Yeah. Massive.
imagine if you were an MSP and you walked into the business and you said, my fee is going to be 25% of whatever dollar I save you.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that. I walked in and I said, if I'm going to save you money, but you're going to pay me 25% of that when we're done.
Right.
What's 25% of $500,000?
Yeah, not bad. 125 grand. So,
right? That's a whole different conversation down the road about billing models.
Oh my God, yeah. Well, I'm seeing this more and more in mid-market, or not even in mid-market, but in co-managed, where you've got 70 to 200 users.
Yeah.
If you've got 70, 200 users, co-managed, you oftentimes literally just in license sprawl.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw one. It was $6,600 a month in unnecessary Microsoft fees.
Yeah.
That's preposterous. But because those organizations have that size, they have that much bloat. It's so much harder to govern that many details. That's why you have the nerds and the pencil pushers checking all these things.
Right.
But here's something I want to put on for size, I think, to just add to what you're saying here, is so many MSPs, their value proposition, when I ask them, why do people hire you? And what do you do? And then what is their business like after they hire you? And they say, after they hire us, stuff just works.
Okay.
Here's my problem with that. They already assume everything is going to work. Everyone feels entitled to results.
Yeah.
So they bought a computer, they feel entitled to that computer working.
Yep.
Case in point, it takes you 4 seconds to reload a web page instead of 1 second. You're infuriated.
Yeah. It's funny that you brought that up. My developer and I were just chatting this morning on our stand-up, and he got new Wi-Fi, and he's like, dude, my speed is only 8 megabytes. And it's like, hold on. I was building the web on a 9600 baud modem. So don't bitch to me about 8 megabytes. But I get it. Like, the thing doesn't load instantly, you're mad.
And you know, in consumer Western culture, that's a justified position. We're allowed, we said, I bought it, I should get what I want. That's how we have been conditioned. I'm not saying it's ethical. I'm saying that's the reality. We can't give every client a lesson on stoicism and gratitude so that all of a sudden they understand that it's a privilege for things to work correctly. That's not within our power. So my problem is, what happens when they all think everything should work all the time? And they go, okay, so basically if something stops working, you fix it right away. How much is that? Whoa, $2,000 a month. Well, I was thinking like $200 a month.
Right.
Because you told them you weren't worth $2,000 a month because you promised them status quo. Right. And that's it. Versus if all we did was pivot it to say, hey, do you have any big initiatives in the next, look, I do minimum of 3-year commitments with people. My average client has been with me for a decade. So let me ask you a question. Do you think your business is going to grow or change in the next 10 years? Now that's a facetious question on purpose. They go, of course. How? What do you want to change between today and 3 years from now? And they say, and you go, okay, what else? What about your sales team? Do you want more salespeople? Do you want more locations? Okay, do you want to sell any new products? Do you want to be more profitable or less profitable or the same? And ask all these questions, right? And then you go, okay, each one of these changes is going to be an initiative. Each one of those initiatives is going to be fueled and underpinned by technology. And then maybe we pull a statistic. So find some Gartner statistic that proves your point. That's a good life lesson in general. To say, hey, did you know that X percentage of business initiatives are over budget or behind schedule? It's probably 80%, right? Did you know that almost every business initiative does not meet its budget and does not hit its deadline? Do you know why? Because everybody assumes it's going to work the first time and they didn't do any of the digging. That's what we're for. So we're not going to keep today working. I'm going to make sure every one of those milestones, you hit it in the bullseye and we finish on time and on budget or better every single time. So now the question is, am I helping you maintain today? No, I'm helping you become everything you think you will become over the next 3 to 10 years.
So instead of teach the next generation, it's build for the next generation, plan for the next generation.
I had an MSP who worked with doctors, and we're trying to get doctors to understand value and spending money, which is not an easy task. And the slogan that we put
It's
in
not.
was for your success.
Like that. That works.
So these are really good positioning. This is really good philosophy that we're kind of giving to the listener. Some of the ways that we're going to start pivoting towards the facilitator. So lose the tech talk. That's really helpful. You mentioned start asking not what keeps you up at night, which is the worst possible question to ask in a sales meeting.
Yep.
And saying instead, what gets you out of bed in the morning? And then showing a genuine vested interest in their future.
Exactly.
If that's in fact where you want to be, then you should care about their future. That's pretty good stuff.
Yeah, it is.
I want to add a couple other tactics, and then I want to talk more about monetizing. I want to open a new can of worms about how do you make money with compliance.
$17 trillion and get the credit. No, that's not how you do it.
Right. Just charge it 10 times more, and even if you only close 1 out of 10, hey, you're still doing pretty good. No, here's a couple things. If you want to increase the perception of your value, you need to improve the way that they perceive you just as a human being.
Yeah.
I work with a company who does copiers and managed services, and it's so interesting the difference in how customers talk to their copier team versus their IT team. The copier team is like one step above the Sparklets guy. They don't care about you. You are so unimportant to that organization.
Yep.
So unimportant. You come in and you say, hey, I got to put this new wing nut in the back of your copier. And they're like, yeah, okay, pervert. It's over there. Quit talking to me. They don't care about it. They don't remember the sales guys' names. They do remember their technicians' names because the technician's been there literally for 30 years.
Right.
But with IT, of course, we have a little bit higher seat, but we struggle. We're stuck. We're not at the head of the table. We're not up there with the finance team and all that, right? The important people. How about instead of showing up in a dirty polo and your jeans that you bought at Sears, what if you put a blazer on?
You had me at Sears. How many of those are shut down then? Yeah, what if you
put on what if you literally just, hey, put some product in your hair and put a blazer on and then go in?
Yeah, Kyle always says, act your wage, maybe look your wage.
Yes, that's a great way to put it. Sometimes
it's funny because they give me crap all the time. Like, wear my t-shirt. Like, and both my wife and my advisors and a lot of people are like, Tim, you need a sports coat. I'm like, no, I don't. No. Tim, you need a polo. Tim, you need a shirt. You need pants that fit. I'm like, dude, I just lost 30 pounds. I'm not going shopping and buying 20. Like, fine. So I bought a sports coat, and now I wear it at conferences. Mm-hmm. But I do still keep my hat.
Yeah, your little
my signature.
Your great pink hat.
My pink hat. Yeah,
but you're also selling to. But you're selling to MSPs too. Like even in our situation, I have 2 modes at conferences. I'm in the I'll call it like the founder look, where I wear a branded T-shirt and chinos and my Hokas, or I'm in a suit. Yeah. And I went to IT Nation last time I went to IT Nation. I brought 2. I was wearing a blue suit. The next day I show up in a gray suit, and KCC wearing goes, "Is that a different suit?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm at a conference. I'm meeting people." And he was like, "What?" He was flabbergasted that I packed 2 suits. I'm like, "Hey, it's easy. It's exactly like packing 1 suit."
Right.
But I started wearing a blazer in the last year that I was selling in person, and then we started selling through COVID, obviously, that I did actually wear a blazer sometimes on Zoom. I wasn't wearing any pants, but I was certainly wearing a blazer.
Wait, doesn't Kevin O'Leary do it that way?
Yes, he does.
The Shark Tank guy?
Yeah, he always has his PJ pants on just to show you that he's one with the people.
Yeah.
It's definitely working. I started wearing a blazer when I'd go in. And you know what? People looked at me differently. They did. Mm-hmm. I'd put hair product in, I'd wear my blazer, and I'd go in and be like, hey, look, so glad we're here. I want to talk to you about a few things. And I just was, the more confidence that you show, the more confidence people can put in you. And so if you are getting stuck in the server room and you're trying to get into the boardroom, there's probably some practical things you can do.
Yeah, like, buy a pair of pants that fit and stop showing off the ass crack.
Yeah. Put a breath mint pack in your glove compartment. I'm not kidding. I hear this all the time. People still complain that technicians show up unhygienic.
I would say, the appearance, the professionalism, like how do I get a seat at the table? All of those things, they tie into each other, right? Nobody wants the fat slob with the crack butt hanging out, like the plumber crack. Like nobody wants to see that. And I take crap for it all the time because I usually wear shorts and a t-shirt. This is something that, my previous employer that always struck me. Guy was probably in his late 70s anyways, regardless of what the day, what the weather. I mean, we 3 feet of snow. He would show up at 7:00 every morning in a shirt and a tie and dress pants and dress shoes every single day for the 20 years I was there. He was always the first one in the door, always well kept, and and that resonated. Now, granted, we were in a different space, not MSPs, government, whatever, but that, not just punctuality, but that image and that presence, it held weight.
Yeah.
I'd wear, a button-down shirt, maybe not a tie. I'm a little biased against the tie. So I worked at a grocery store here in New England, Market Basket. You should Google it. This is a fascinating story about what they're dealing with. But every single male would have to wear slacks, white shirt, tie. And you'd start your, 14 years old, going in there bagging groceries. And to this day, 30 plus years later, white shirt and a tie and their jacket, their smock. Imagine the impression on a 14-year-old kid. Hey, you're going to dress up for work.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily live in that culture anymore where it's like, look the part.
You need to show up better, dress better. You need to be more confident. And wearing a suit is like, it's like wearing armor. Like it increases your self-image when you put on a suit. Mm-hmm. Don't you think, Tim?
Yeah, I would agree. There's some psychology behind that. Yeah, I mean, you know me, I love kind of digging into the psychology of all kinds of different things, sales process, and whatever. It's fascinating to me on the mentality of what does a ripped Zeppelin shirt and a Marlboro hanging out of my mouth convey versus a shirt and a tie.
You've never sounded more England than the way you just said Marlboro.
So we were just come back from Rite of Boom, and everybody knows I smoke, and they always give me crap for it. And we were doing a joint dinner, and it was kind of pretty. And again, I love my team around me. They can speak the truth in love to me. And they were basically like, before you go to the dinner, number one, you need to shower. You need to wash all that smoke off of you. You need to have a shirt. You need to have a blazer. You need to look the part, and you need to not stink. So don't smoke, or else we're not having you in the dinner. And it was like, you know what? I can do that. Mm-hmm. I get it. Yeah. Those that don't smoke, it's gross. Now, on the flip side, I don't drink. So I told them, that means you can't drink because I don't want to smell alcohol.
Uh-huh. Whoa, hang on. Everybody calm down.
Like, well, if I can't smell like Marlboro, you can't smell like gin.
Yeah, boom. I don't want to get too in the weeds with this. Like, increase your outfit. It's just one tactic that I want to throw at you that it could help you, especially when other MSPs are all showing up in their like lime green polo. I don't know why every MSP uses lime green. They're all going to look exactly the same. Very few of them are going to show in more effort. And this is something I've been alluding to for a long time that I'm working on several episodes about increasing your charisma. And a big part of charisma is preparation.
Yeah.
It's a big part of being likable is putting in an effort.
Yeah.
Show the client that you're putting in more of an effort. They're going to take you more seriously. And you can demand a higher degree of respect and authority by giving people a reason to give it to you. So
that's great
there's
advice.
that. But let's talk about some structural changes. Okay. Sure. So I want to get into tooling and strategies a little bit for how we can start sort of compliance as a service And
Yeah.
then I want to talk about monetizing that later because there's a lot of opinions on that and I really want to know yours. But in fact, let me just start this dumb. Let me show everybody how dumb I am. Explain GRC to me.
Governance, risk, and compliance. Easy. Risk is a very sort of easy word to understand,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's the bookends of the governance and compliance. Now, when I think of the word compliance, a lot of people get freaked out, right? If I walk into the room, and I've done this at a conference, by the way, and the first word out of my mouth is audit, you can feel yourself cringe a little. But if I walked into that room and I said assessment, there's a totally different connotation to that, right? Compliance, ooh, freaks me out. Compliant, ooh, freaks me out. Okay, that's fine. Think of the word compliance and what it does. It actually gives you a rule book, a playbook, a step-by-step guide. It is the referee for cybersecurity, right? So if I think compliant, I think referee, right? We all just watch the Super Bowl, throw in flags, playbooks, yards, downs. Those referees, they have a playbook. You smack someone in the face, you get a flag, right? You trip somebody, you get a flag. Compliance is nothing more than the referee for cybersecurity. Tells you what to do, gives you the playbook, step by step. You don't have to be scared of it. In fact, you can look at it and be empowered by it because you know now exactly what you need to look at, what you need to do, what you need to implement, the things. There's controls. Look at the things. This is the playbook. So that's how I approach compliance. Stop being scared of it and look at it as an empowerment and an enablement feature. Now you know what to do. Then the governance side. Joe at Lion Guard stumped me on this a couple of years ago. It's like, Tim, what the hell does govern mean? And I was like, well, the thing. And me and my infinite wisdom, much as I love to dig into crap, I went and dug into the root etymology of the word all the way back to like the 4th whatever century it was. To govern means to steer. And it was really about steering ships through the canal, steering ships through the risky waters. Oh, okay. So how does that apply as an MSP and my customer? I'm going to help facilitate and govern our client steering through the business risk.
That was the first use of the word governor, right? Was a part of the steering mechanism of vessels?
Yeah. In fact, governor on a car, right?
Right.
Back in the days, it would govern the speed and all of that. It would give them an opportunity to provide some guardrails, some decision points, some steering points. And then how do we define that here? Okay, I get it. I need to steer the ship. I need to help the business through the troubled, risky waters. But how do I do that? We broke it down into 4 simple parts. You don't even have to use a platform. You can do the damn thing on a stone tablet and chisel if you'd like, but it's 4 simple things. Number 1, align to a compliance framework. Align to get a playbook. Align to that playbook. 2, authorization. And this is the one that most people kind of, we roll out CIS all day long, and that's great. But does anybody actually own that, authorize those things, and make decisions? And it's not you, it's your customer. That authorization component allow your customer to make risk-based decisions. Great. Okay, so I'm going to follow a framework. I'm going to present these things to my customer and help them make good business decisions. Now what? Well, what good is that if you don't have your end users adopt these things? Good corporate culture, policy, procedure, handbooks, whatever. Train the end user, get the buy-in around why, and allow them to adopt. And then the last thing is they shouldn't be shelfware. You should regularly assess these things, wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat. That is the process of governing. Alignment, authorization, adoption, and assessment. And what does that look like in practicality? I can share this Google Doc if you want. I just gave it to you. You can share your screen, whatever. We can give that after the fact. It's simple, my friends. It doesn't have to be scary. It's a facilitation workflow, right back to the beginning of our conversation. We're going to conduct an assessment against some playbook. We're going to see where you stand. We're going to allow you to authorize and make decisions on things that were found. Then we're going to roll stuff out and tell end users why we do this work. And then we're just going to wash, rinse, repeat. Do an assessment, find a gap, make a decision, wash, rinse, repeat. And here's where I see so many people, so many MSPs get it wrong. They build a compliance as a service offering, and they're going to charge $10,000 a month. Okay, they don't have it defined. They don't know what it is. They think it's implementing the tools. It's not a tool. It's a people and a process. And by the way, you could get away with it for probably less than $300 a month. What, Tim? You're suggesting a compliance as a service offering for $300 a month? Yes. And you know why? Number one, you're probably going to spend half hour or so a week, maybe 2 hours on average per month. An hour doing work and 45 minutes communicating with your customer. Okay, 2 hours. What's your hourly rate fully loaded? I doubt it's more than $80 an hour. That's $160. Well, yeah, but I need a tool to help me. Yeah, tools can help you. You can do the damn thing in spreadsheets, stone tablets, chisels. I don't care. But there are platforms like ours, by the way. It's $100. So now you're covering your time and the cost of a tool for $300.
Mm-hmm.
A client can wrap their head around a compliance facilitation offering for $300. Now, where we run into trouble is we found all these things that are broken and need to be fixed. That is your managed service side. That's the implementation project side. And you know what? You might end up telling on yourself when you do an assessment. Hey, our service says we offer backups, and you go and you do an assessment and you're like, oh crap, I'm not doing backups. You know what that does to your customer? When you're like, hey, we just tattled on ourself, but we're going to fix this at no cost to you.
Right.
What? You found a gap? Oh, and you should have been doing it, and you're just going to fix it for me for nothing? Amazing. Yeah, but about these other gaps that you're not doing, it's not part of the service offering.
Right.
I mean, that's the process. Do an assessment, find some stuff, let the customer make decisions. Anything they decide they want to fix becomes part of your managed service offering or your project work, and bill for it accordingly. That's the other thing.
So,
MSPs don't charge and bill for things appropriately. They give too much shit away for free.
Well, this is like what you're describing. Actually, I think it's even more radical than maybe you know how radical it is, but there's two reasons what you just said is radical. Number one, a lot of the voices out there who make their money promising MSPs that they can help them make a lot more top line are trying to use things like compliance and AI as a service to be like, hey, let's up your rate to $450 per user, or a flat $5,000 a month on top for compliance, flat $5,000 a month, whatever. So a lot of times people are thinking the only reason I should care about this is if I can monetize the hell out of it. So here's what you just revealed, that the clients who don't trust you are right. That's what you just revealed, because you just said, I'm not willing to have a paper trail of what I am promising but under delivering on.
Yeah.
Unless they pay me extra.
Well,
So that's interesting, first of all. Second of all, we started this by saying, hey, help desk is no longer the tent pole of managed services. So now what I'm hearing, and you tell me if I'm oversimplifying this, I really want to know, but the way I'm comprehending what you're describing is that we have a modest, reasonable fixed cost to basically have a referee who's going in and going row by row, precept upon precept across every control within a given framework, NIST, ISO 27001, whatever, saying like, hey, are we doing this? Let's look, yes or no, and then scoring it and maintaining it. But then what we're doing is generating work to close. We're finding deltas, and those deltas become tasks, tickets, projects. That then get kicked over, and that's what the MSP is doing. So all we're doing is essentially creating awareness of a new problem, and then we're using our build services to close those gaps
Yep.
and fix those problems. And then we go to the next control. So compliance is, first of all, it's ongoing. You're not like, I'm compliant today, therefore I no longer have to think about this. The nature of compliance is that it has routine, ongoing,
Yes.
continuous improvement and auditing, right? So
Yep.
maybe all of a sudden, this $200 a seat that other people are pulling off for managed services makes sense because they're actually making meaningful, visible improvements in a company's quality of life
Yep.
because they're pushing them forward towards these really high demand compliance standards. Am I understanding this right, Tim, or have I oversimplified it?
I mean, no, I think you're kind of spot on the sense of follow a framework, find the gaps, fix the gaps, and improve. You want to break it down even further. I go to the doctor, I get an annual checkup, and he tells me these 10 things. Get a nutritionist, go to the gym, get a physical therapist, quit smoking, quit drinking, do these 5 things. Great. So what do? I do ongoing, continuous maintenance on my body. I go to the gym, I quit smoking, I hire a nutritionist, I eat healthy. And then next year I go back and I see, all right, am I better off than I was a year ago? Same kind of thing,
Right.
And by the way, you can use that analogy as an MSP to sell compliance to your healthcare customers. They'll get that. That's the other big component we didn't talk about earlier in how do we get a seat at the table? Speak their language, use their words. Shit, with AI now, you can literally build a playbook using all their words and then practice it in front of the mirror. Because if you walk in there talking ones and zeros, bits and bytes, no. Brian, the analogy I just used, what is compliance? I go to the doctor, I get a checkup. He tells me the 10 things I need to do. I hire the 10 consultants and I do the 10 things. Wash, rinse, repeat.
Right. Ugh, this is so good. Like, what I like about the way you talk about compliance is a lot of times thought leaders, if you will, quote unquote thought leaders, what they'll do is they'll find an exciting or a sexy new area of growth, and then they high concept their approach to it so that it sounds mystical and difficult to reproduce. But the reason that I call you a thought leader, Tim, and the reason you are a thought leader on this is that you are on this mission to actually make it make sense and to actually help people literally do this, actually make the SMB community more safe.
Yeah.
And the controls, the standards exist. This would be really complicated if there was no frameworks. If we didn't have the rules to football, how would a referee know if somebody broke them? But those rules they exist, and people smarter than you and I made them, presumably.
Well, I can attest that I have been on groups where we built out control frameworks, and there's people way smarter than me on some of them, and people not as smart that have been on of them. Anyways, it varies. But the point you're making is we don't have to figure this out with what do we do and what do we follow. And granted, there's laws and regulations to guide them down, FTC or whatever mouthful of framework, but pick something. Start someplace and continue to wash, rinse, repeat. And we know the mystical component. I see this on LinkedIn all the time. And I've been pretty disappointed with LinkedIn for the last 6 to 8 months because I see all this, AI was going to save the world or break the world. It puts it in this light that it doesn't need to be in. It doesn't have to be hard or scary or mystical. It just has to be done. Right? One thing we do hear a lot is that I think MSPs are afraid to get it wrong. And because it's that word compliant, the fear of getting it wrong stops them in their track. And they don't want to do it. They get the whole deer in the headlights. And the reality is, think back as an IT technician, when you took apart your first computer, maybe it was last week, maybe it was 20 years ago. How terrified were you? The very first computer you took apart. I bet you were terrified. Now it's like commonplace. Compliance is no different. Will you get it wrong? Sure. Could it cost? Maybe. Things like safe harbor now. A lot of states are having this safe harbor law. Like if you're showing due care, due diligence, due process, if you're like, you're not going to be compliant on it, but if you're making progress,
Right.
that's way better than, blinders and doing nothing.
So you might be at much more risk right now doing nothing than you would be if you were imperfectly pursuing getting your customers more compliant.
Yep.
I love it, Tim. What we need to do, you mentioned that document. You made this really long, super clear outline on a bunch of these things, and we're going to give it away for free. It's in the show notes of this episode. You don't have to give me your email address. You can just download it. And that's a courtesy of Tim, made that for you. But in case somebody wants to get a hold of you, I mean, you mentioned a little bit at the beginning that you built an entire platform for this. Do you want to just real quick tell them sort of what Compliance Scorecard is and then how they get a hold of you if they want to?
Yeah, compliancescorecard.com. And if you can't find, LinkedIn, I was going to say, if you can't find me on the internet, you're not looking. So compliancescorecard.com, we have a governance, risk, and compliance, a GRC platform that will help you, the MSP, facilitate that risk conversation with your customer. And you can do that work at scale. We have also a Kickstart program where we can help you get from zero to hero and feel confident to deliver these in a fast track program, working side by side with us, teaching you how to do the work. And at the end of it, you'll have your own house in order and you'll be able to build out a scalable, repeatable CAS offering. Yeah. And then also our peer group. We don't talk about platform. We talk about all the other sexy risk stuff. Break it down in terms we all understand, but the platform and our Kickstart, compliancescorecard.com. We host a weekly live demo every Tuesday, and you can grab that right on our website.
Amazing. Tim, I've kept you over time. Thank you so much. This was really great that we were able to do this. I finally landed you on the show. This is really, really good. Thanks for all
thank you so much
do.
for having me.
Yeah, man. Of course. Just keep being you. Keep doing it.
And, thanks for the kudos. It's humbling to hear those words. I need to get better at accepting those words.
I understand.
So, thank you for that.
No problem. See you, Tim.